Hi everyone, in Algebra 2B, today we're going to be going over your questions on lesson 113, starting on number 2. They're reds vary directly as blues and inversely as mauves squared. So directly, reds vary directly, so it's going to be R1 over R2. And it says directly as blues, so that would be B1 over B2. And then it says inversely as mauve squared. So that means that it's going to be M2 squared over M1 squared. Now I'm going to input my variable. So when there were 10 reds, there were 2 mauves and 4 blues. So R1 is going to be 10. B1 is going to be equal to 4. And then M1 is going to be equal to 2, but you have to square that because it's mauve squared. Then it says how many blues were there. So we're solving for blue 2. If there were 20 mauves and 3 reds. So this would be 3, and then the mauves is 20, but don't forget you have to square that. So now when I cross multiply this, I have 4 times 10, which is 40. X is equal to 3 times 4, which is 12, times 20 squared, which is 400. And I'm going to divide both sides by 40. So leave me with 10. So therefore, X is going to be equal to 120, and that's the number of blues. Now looking at number 3, we have, it was necessary to mix 200 milliliters of a solution in which the key ingredient made up 63% of the total. One container held a solution that was 70% key ingredient, the other was 60%. How much of each should be used? So for number 3, we're adding 2 solutions to get a final solution. The 2 that we're mixing are 70% and 60%, and the percent we want is 63. And we want 200 milliliters of it. So this is just going to be X and Y. So now when I write out my equation, I'm going to have 70X plus 60Y is equal to 63 times 200. Second equation is just going to be X plus Y equals 200. Now you can do either substitution or elimination. I'm going to eliminate by multiplying this equation by negative 60. The top equation is going to be just 70X plus 60Y equals 63 times 200. Which is 12,600. Bottom equation returns to negative 60x minus 60y equals negative 60 times 200, should be negative 12,000. So really I just have 10x is equal to 600. Which means that X is going to be equal to 60 milliliters of the 70% solution. If in total I'm going to have 200, I'm going to do 200 minus the 60, which gives me 140 milliliters of the 60% solution. And those would be your 2 results. Now looking at number 4, we have Carlene made the trip in only 8 hours, whereas Dan took 12 hours to make the same trip. So I have the time of Carlene is 8, and I have the time of Dan is 12. Then it says, this was because Dan dawdled and drove 20 miles per hour slower than Carlene. So the rate of Dan would be the rate of Carlene minus 20. How fast did each drive and how long was the trip? So for this one, we know that their distances are equal to each other. So I'm going to do DC equals DD. We know it's RC TC equals RD TD. I don't know RC, so I'm just going to leave that as RC. I know TC is 8. I know RD is 12 and TD is RC minus 20. So distribution would give us 8 RC equals 12 RC minus 240. And then I'll bring the 12 RC to the left, so that would be negative 4 RC equals negative 240, which means that RC is going to be equal to 60 because 240 divided by 4 is 60. Now I can solve for RD because it's 20 miles per hour slower, which would give me RD is 40. They also want to know what the distance is. So I'm going to do, let's just do DC is equal to RC times TC, which is 8. So 60 times 8 would give us 480. So the distance of both is going to be 480 because they drove equal distances. Now we'll look at number 5. So for number 5, it says the pressure of the quantity of an ideal gas was held constant, which means that we're going to do P1 V1 over T1 equals P2 V2 over T2, but it says that the pressure was held constant, so I'm not going to use that. Now I'm going to input the initial volume and temperature. So the initial volume is 1,000 and the initial temperature was 1,700. Then we're trying to find the final temperature if the volume was increased to 2,000. So 2,000, and then I'm trying to solve for x. So it'll be 1,000 x is equal to 2,000 times 1,700. And I'm going to divide both sides by 1,000. Which means that I'm going to have 2 times 1,700. And your answer should be 3,400. Now moving on to number 8, because we've already done numbers 6 and 7 were the ones that you're going to skip. Now looking at number 8, we have in the figure shown AE is equal to 6, AD is equal to 4, and AB is equal to 24. What is the length of the segment AC? Dimensions are in meters. So I have A to D is 4, and then A to E is 6, and then A to B is 24. And I'm trying to find A to C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these two triangles. I have a base that's 4 and a slant that's 6. For the big triangle, I'm actually trying to solve for the base, which is A to C. But I know the slant is 24, so I actually can solve this using ratios. It's going to be 6 over 24 equals 4 over AC. So cross multiplying gives me 6AC equals 96, because 24 times 4 is 96. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So AC is going to be equal to 48 over 3. which is equal to 16. Now we're going to look at number 14, which I was supposed to do in the last video, but number 14, I'm going to start by just multiplying this out. So remember, you're adding exponents. So 1/3 plus 2/3 would just be 1. Then the last two terms would be x to the 1/3, y to the 1/3. My middle terms would be x to the 2/3, y to the 2/3, and then y to the 2/3 times y to the 1/3. Again, you're adding exponents, so that would just be y. And that would be your answer for number 14. And then the last problem we're going to do is number 15. And the first thing that I need to do is I need to remember what that equation was. For number 15, it comes from less than 108. And that's going to be f cubed minus s cubed equals f minus s times f squared plus fs plus s squared. Now to find f and s, I have to take the cubed root of both. So the cubed root of 8 is 2. Cubed root of p to the 6, which just means you divide that by 3, which is p to the 2nd. And then k to the 15th, so 15 divided by 3 is 5. This is going to be your f. Then 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. This will be your s. So I'm going to input this into the second part of the equation. So f is going to be 2p squared k 5 minus xm to the 2nd. Oh, this is not going to fit. So times, it's going to be 2p squared k to the 5th squared plus 2p squared k to the 5th times xm squared, continued on, plus xm squared squared. So the left parenthesis stays as is. That's going to be 2p squared k to the 5th minus xm squared. Now I'm going to square this, which would turn into 4p to the 4th k to the 10th plus 2p squared k to the 5th xm squared plus x squared m to the 4th. So all this is taking the cubed root of your two variables that they start with, and then of your first term and your second term, and then all that was just plugging it into an equation. And that concludes your questions from lesson 113A. I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye.